From one user taking out loans to YOLO it all on crypto, to another user making nearly $10 million, we are going to go over the craziest crypto trades of the year. Random Chicky Bum is a user who stumbled upon a once-in-a-lifetime fortune, but accidentally let it slip out of his hands. He started his trading journey with only $100, but holy smokes did this guy have a heck of a trading streak. He started trading on the day the election results came out and instantly started making money. I don't even know what this platform is honestly, but someone commented that it's likely Kraken with 50x leverage. Well, he put that 50x leverage to work and made about $500 his first day trading. This might not sound all that impressive, but this was a 500% gain from his start point. The next day though, he made about $6,000. Insane considering he started with $100 2 days ago. He wasn't done yet though, cause the next day he made about $3K. He had now 100x his portfolio in just 3 days. Surely he was done. The next day, he YOLO'd it all again and got his biggest gain yet, $47K in a day. He more than 500x'd his portfolio. Someone please tell him to stop trading and lock in his gains. He wasn't ready to walk away yet though, and got ready for another day of trading. By now, you would have expected him to lose it all, but no. He actually beat his previous record, $63,000 in one day. He now had 126K in his Kraken account, which is unbelievable considering he started with just 100 5 days ago. He wanted to continue pushing his luck, and surprisingly, he had his biggest trade ever again the next day. Except it was the biggest in the downwards way. His whole entire portfolio completely evaporated, and he kissed his 120K goodbye. He said, started the account with $100 on election results day, degened it all the way to 126K before losing it all trying to short Bitcoin. LMAO. Stellar Lumens is a user who is all in. His first Reddit post came on November 15th when he posted about how bullish he was on Stellar. His portfolio at the time wasn't looking all that great. It was sitting at around $20,000, which was a 70% drop from its peak in the summer of 2022. He was ready to make it all back though. And luckily, his XLM was skyrocketing. Like I said, his original post was made back on November 15th, and this was basically the perfect time to buy. On November 22nd, his portfolio jumped 150% all the way to $51,000. XLM continued its rally, and the very next day, he made another 17K. The coin rose 210% in a week, and he was feeling on top of the world. 2 days later, his portfolio hit 105K, which meant he was up nearly 50% in a single day. 4 days later though, he was down 15K and his portfolio was at $90,000. Then, 3 days later he posted, took a home equity loan against my house and went all in on XLM. Hashtag YOLO. Now, I'm pretty sure this is just a joke, cause it doesn't seem like he added any outside money, but this is possibly a big chunk of his net worth. He then started giving us daily updates. 2 days later, down 5K, next day, down 7K, next day up 6K, and he gave his final update on day 18. His total amount invested was $100,000, and he was down 30K as of December 20th. Stellar Lumens did not tell his wife about any of this, and didn't know how to break it to her, quite frankly. He originally thought he would be at 150K by Christmas, and planned on telling her then, but now he just isn't so sure. Tiki is a user who just turned 24, but already has a pretty hefty bag thanks to crypto. Even though he now has riches in his portfolio, things weren't always this way. Back in November 2023, Tiki bought $15,000 worth of Ethereum, which was actually everything he had at the time. In retrospect, he knows that this is not very financially responsible, but even with the little amount of research he did, he was pretty confident that good things were to come. He got cooked with the last crypto cycle a couple years ago, and he was ready to get revenge. Tiki bought at pretty much the perfect time, because Ethereum started to rally, and his portfolio 2x to a value of $30,000. He waited a little bit to sell, but walked away with 28K, which is still pretty much a 2x. This was a pretty good sell too, cause Ethereum kind of underperformed compared to a lot of other coins this bull run. He held his cash for a few weeks and started to do more research on altcoins. June of 2024 rolled along, and he shifted to Solana and found 2 new promising projects. He YOLO'd his whole portfolio evenly between the two and braced for impact. Admittedly, the first couple months were rocky, but by September, he was pretty deep into his research and was doing a good job at timing buys and sells on his coins. This can be chalked up to luck, of course, but hey, for now, he was up 175% on the two coins. Now being early on in November, he sold these two coins and bought back into Solana. With amazing timing once again, his portfolio rocketed 30% in 2 weeks. This put him right under 100K, which means he was already up 560% over the past year. Tiki knew that Christmas can be a rough time for crypto, so on December 3rd, he got into perpetual futures and started shorting Solana. This was a risky move, of course, and he used anywhere from 7 to 45x leverage. He initially had some losing trades, and 18% of his portfolio got snatched away. These were scary times because it's not like Tiki grew up rich. This money was everything he saved, and he didn't want to see it go. Regardless, he dived right back into the game, and somehow, with some sort of miracle, he was able to 4x his money in 2.5 weeks leading up to Christmas. Now sitting at about 400K, he was done with perpetual futures. He stowed away $150,000 for savings, but plans on using the other $250K investing in smaller projects, which is still risky, but hey, we'll see how things go. On December 26th, he shows off his portfolio worth $500,000 and says his new goal is $1 million. He even got no risk, no story tatted on him. Bok Choy Slaps is a user who made hundreds of thousands of dollars with crypto, but then lost it all, but then came back even hungrier than ever. Bok Choy Slaps had a portfolio worth just about 100K, which is great, but he was looking to multiply his money. He threw all of it into one investment, which I'm not going to spoil just yet, so place your bets on what you think it is. Anyway, back in 2021, he 4x'd his money, taking it to nearly 500K. But he never sold and his portfolio fell back to 100K, putting him at an 80% loss from the peak. Flash forward to 2024, and miraculously, he was back at his previous all-time high. He posted a screenshot of his portfolio to WallStreetBets and even said that Robinhood was glitched. He actually started with $20,000, not 110K. Bok Choy Slaps also said, "Gains are from stocks over the year. Currently, I'm big on IBIT. Getting into options though." It might sound like the story ends there, but that would not be the case. He said, "My portfolio looks completely different now than it did 3 years ago. We're at a different point in time with different factors and different assets comprising my portfolio. This is no indication of the top being in." Long Jumping Neck 106 commented with a screenshot of his own though, and said, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to see that Bok Choy Slaps' portfolio is either 100% Dogecoin or maybe like 98% at best. When confronted about this, all he could say is, nothing, actually, he just dropped explicit Shrek emojis. I'm assuming he kept most of his Dogecoin, but he also started buying calls on IBIT, which is a Bitcoin ETF. Only 19 days later though, he returned to the subreddit with unfortunate news. He lost $120,000 since his other post and was down about 27%. He still has an impressive all-time gain chart, but hopefully Dogecoin stays afloat or else he's gonna be back to where he was all over again, ×2. A user with a sus name doesn't really have much on his Reddit profile, but he does have this. Up 1,634% with nearly $6 million, his portfolio is looking pretty darn good. Invested $320K at the bottom of the bear market, late 2022. No trading, just staking and vibing. YY Sleazy is a user who wanted to YOLO it all into crypto, except he wasn't going to use his own money to do it. No, he was going to take on credit card debt to do it. He took out 12.5K on one credit card, 6K on another, 10K on another, and another 6K on the last one. This was a grand total of $35,000. There was 0% interest until February of 2025, but still, obviously, if you lost money, then you would be in real debt. He also threw in an additional 15K of his own money. Flash forward to the end of 2024, and luckily, he got the good ending. With $127,000 in his wallet, he could pay off his debt almost 4 times over, except for some reason, he didn't. It seems like he's gonna wait until the last minute to pay it all off, which I don't know if that's a strategy I would recommend. Audio King is a user who made it to the final table at the World Series of Poker, invested in GameStop early on before its rally, and made a whole lot of money with crypto. He started investing way back in 2005 when he bought his first shares of Apple. 8 years later in 2013, he bought Bitcoin. But this is just the beginning. Flash forward to 2020, and he had $80,000 sitting in his Robinhood account. He threw his money into GameStop and turned it into $450K by early 2021. But little did he know, 2022 was gonna be a rough year for him. He had a rough breakup and had to sell most of his positions just to get back on his feet. This would be nothing compared to how hard he was about to get hit in the crypto world. His holdings were wiped out with the collapse of platforms like FTX, Celsius, Voyager, and Nexo. It sounds like things were only getting worse and worse for him, but he did have one small light in this situation. One investment that would be his diamond in the rough. And, oh, never mind, it was a Bored Ape. He bought a Bored Ape NFT for 100 Ethereum because he thought it was a good long-term investment. Well, now it's down over 90%. Flash forward again to May of 2023. He had 144K saved up, and now he was ready to get serious. By February, he made his way up to $225,000. A month later, he posted semiconductors and Bitcoin. He got his hands on a nearly 70% gain in the past month, and his portfolio was now worth $373K. He couldn't stop YOLOing, and by December, he was ready to make a new post. His Robinhood portfolio now had over $900,000 in it, and he was up 71% in the past month alone. His biggest holding is not specifically crypto, but it is MicroStrategy, which is basically like a leveraged Bitcoin ETF at this point. Tap Worldly 4997 is a user who got his hands on a fortune, but didn't even realize it. Years ago, he bought Dogecoin at an average cost of 1/3 of a cent. He threw $500 into it on Robinhood and honestly just forgot about it. He finally remembered he had this Dogecoin in December of 2024 and booted up Robinhood to see an almost 14,000% gain. Just like Bok Choy Slaps, I don't think he's selling yet, so we'll just have to wait and see how things play out. Cedars is a user who knew the value of a true YOLO. A few years ago, Cedars was hit with quite the series of events. He quit his job, he was divorced, and had to sell his house. After going through all of this, he knew what he needed to do. And what he needed to do, apparently, was YOLO all his money into Bitcoin. He threw literally everything into crypto, with most of it being Bitcoin and a small percentage of Dogecoin. Flash forward to the start of 2024, and Cedars' investments started paying off. Up 53% on Bitcoin and 30% on Dogecoin, he now had $410,000 in his portfolio. He posted a screenshot of his portfolio to WallStreetBets, and some people were laughing at him. You did all that and only got 8 Bitcoin? Truly regarded. But some other people had faith in his YOLO. Just imagine when Bitcoin hits 100K. Well, the crypto bulls were right, and as of 2025, his Bitcoin is now worth 840K and his Dogecoin is worth 42K, nearly $1 million.